Hey everybody, it's me, your buddy Dave from thedarkstuff.com and the Dark Stuff channel here on YouTube. Thanks a lot for checking out my video. And yeah, as the title implies, it's like, all right, fine, I'll review the new Stones album. Okay, I'm only kidding. You know, I'm not begrudgingly doing this. I'm listening to the new album as we speak right now. Hackney Diamonds just came out, I don't know, a week or so ago. I don't know, the Stones' 100th album. I honestly don't know, but it is their first new studio album in 18 years. So I can say this, I've been on YouTube for almost 10 years, and I have never reviewed a brand new Rolling Stones record. Not because I didn't want to, but because it's never come up. I mean, you know, it's been almost twice as long as I've been on YouTube since the Stones have had a new release. So that explains it. I am wearing my knockoff Stones shirt. I got this for like $10 at Target. It's really just a workout shirt, but I thought for the occasion, fine, I'll put on a Stones shirt. I've been watching a lot of reviews on YouTube and reading a lot of reviews about the new album, and I would say that they fall into three basic categories. So the first category is just people who just reflexively hate it, right? They've already pretty much decided the second they put on the first song, this sucks. Any sort of new idea or new technique that's newer than, say, 1975, you throw it in with the Stones and they're just not going to have it, and it's just going to be nothing but negativity throughout the review. The second category is pretty much the exact opposite, right? Just total homers, complete fanboys, I would say non-objective, unobjective, who just love everything the Stones do. They've never done a bad note. Every single thing they do is awesome. Now, the third category is a little bit more aligned with where I'm at, and that is people who are Stones fans, have been lifelong Stones fans, have seen the band in concert, but really think of them creatively or artistically as sort of ending about 1981 with Tattoo You, and then they've had occasional songs since then, but they only really get excited about the older stuff, but they still are willing to give the new stuff a chance. And what I've been noticing is a lot of people who are in my category are not only just sort of willing to give the new Stones a chance, but are actually really liking it. So I commented on somebody's video, I can't remember which one it was, but I said, all right, fine, now I have to actually pay attention to this new Stones album, because I was perfectly willing to just let it slide by and not pay any attention to it, because I did sort of assume, maybe like that first category, that it was just going to stink and I wasn't going to like it. But I'm glad that I gave it a chance. First off, it's called Hackney Diamonds, right? And it's produced by a guy named Andrew Watt. Now, that threw me when I read that. His credits include Miley Cyrus, okay, not a fan, but whatever. Justin Bieber, Ozzy Osbourne, okay, now we're talking. Pearl Jam, okay, Iggy Pop, all right. So mixed bag in terms of past credits. He's also credited as a co-writer on 3 songs. The first 3 songs, Angry, Get Close, and Depending on You. One song is done by another producer, that's Don Was, who's worked with the Stones before, going back into the 80s. Of course, that was the song Live by the Sword, and that is one of the ones that Charlie Watts is on, just FYI. Put a pin in that for now. So this is the first album that they've done since Charlie Watts passed. He died in 2021. But they have been working on these tracks for a while, so there are still 2 songs that he's on, and that's the songs Mess It Up and Live by the Sword. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who will say they can definitively tell the difference, and I'm going to say I'm calling mostly bullshit on that. Steve Jordan, who's the new Stones drummer, has been Keith's drummer with the Expensive Winos since 1986, 87 or so. He's very much in the Charlie Watts school, and I would argue that you really can't objectively say so, that you know that. You're just guessing, or you've read it and now you're like, oh, okay. So I've been on a weird journey with this, because when I first started listening to it, my initial reaction when I listened to it in the car was like, I don't know, dude, this is just not good. And I went into that immediate thing of like, I don't like this. But I thought, you know what, again, I'm gonna really focus this. I'm driving, I'm distracted. When I got down here in the bunker and I played it through my whole system, like full volume and whatever, then I started vibing on it. Now I've listened to it 4 or 5 times, and I've gone from to okay, I like this, and that's where we'll start. So the first song is called Angry. It was the first single. I avoided hearing it prior to the album's release. It reminds me of In Excess. Okay, I don't think I'm the only person to point that out. I think the guitar riff reminds me of In Excess from the 80s. I don't mind In Excess. I liked them back in the day, but that is what it sounds like. It's an okay song, but it's not one of my favorites. Okay, the second song is called Get Close. I think it's a great riff on this one. I think Mick's voice is especially good, and I think he's like 82 years old. It's like he sounds awesome, you know? And I know they can do stuff in the studio, but you can't replicate that, okay? That's not auto-tune or some AI bullshit. That's just, he takes care of himself is what I'm saying. So I really do like the verses a lot on this. I think it's a really smooth song, and I think it's cool. When it gets to the chorus, though, I'm a little less into it, where he's like, I want to get close to you, or whatever. I mean, I'm just like, okay. I think the verses are good. The chorus is just meh, although I was playing it before I made this video. I was listening to it in the shower, and I don't have a stereo in the shower, by the way. I just was cranking it in another room and just played it really loud. And I was even in the shower going, I want to get close to you. So maybe by next week I'll really be into it. I don't know. Okay, the third track is called Depending on You, and it's one of my favorites. It sounds very like late 60s, early 70s Stones with an acoustic kind of intro and a little bit of... I don't know if that one had pedal steel or not, but it had a kind of an acoustic intro. It's a good mid-tempo ballad. I think the whole song is really, really good. I mean, it's just a great classic Stones-sounding song from sort of any era. But it has a little bit more of a 70s feel, but the production makes it sound very fresh and new. Okay, the next one is called Bite My Head Off, and it's a real fast rocker, which... I sort of thought, like, I don't know if I want to hear the Stones doing these kind of revved up rockers, but I'm going to say this is great. It was really good. It's a fun song. It's really raw. It just sounds like the guys just got there in a room and just bashed it out in a minute or two. I mean, it doesn't sound labored over, which is what most classic bands like do. They spend a lot more time in the studio than they need to, but Bite My Head Off, great song. Doesn't sound like they wasted any time with that one. I don't know, I didn't really care much for Whole Wide World, which is the next song. And in my notes when I was listening to it, I said it sounded like a late 80s college rock song. Like, I don't know, maybe that's not a great comparison, but like I didn't like the riff very much. It didn't sound that Stonesy, and it was just kind of like, I don't know, it wasn't one of the more memorable songs. It wasn't bad, and again, it sounded really good. I will say, Andrew Watt, I've heard complaints about his work with Ozzy as being a little bit overproduced, but like it's not with the Stones. That's not the problem in any way. Okay, with Dreamy Skies, the band is really delivering up some classic Stones material. Very, very Let It Bleed style song, I would say, with a country intro with some pedal steel guitar. It's a slow rocker. I would say the best parts, though, are when Mick and Keith do harmony vocals together, because you only hear Keith on really prominently on a couple of tracks, and like this is one of them, where when the two of them are singing together, that's an absolute highlight of the track and a highlight of the album for sure. Now, remember when I said that Bite My Head Off was like a super fast rocker and it sounded like they didn't try too hard or labor over it? I feel like the next song messed it up, which is one of the ones that has Charlie Watts on it, by the way. For some reason, does sound like they're trying to do that, trying to sound like it's just a bunch of guys in the room with that feel, but it really doesn't. To me, it kind of reminded me of some mid to late 80s Stone stuff. Reminded me a little bit of like Undercover of the Night record maybe, or like Steel Wheels. Like, not bad, but just a little bit forced in the chorus and a little bit forced in some other departments. And that is one of the tracks that Charlie Watts is on, and it's not really one of my favorites, unfortunately. The other song, though, with Charlie Watts is called Live by the Sword, and that's actually one of the better tracks. It's one of my favorites. It's the only song that wasn't produced by Andrew Watt. It was produced by Don Was, who I referenced has worked with them in the past and stuff. It definitely sounds different than the rest of the record. It stands out because the riff is different. The vocal melody is different. It just sounds very sort of unique, okay? I mean, I like the riff a lot. I think it's a great song. It sounds less polished than some of the record. So, Live by the Sword is an absolute highlight. Driving Me Too Hard is the next track, and it's all right. It's kind of a mid-tempo rocker. It's like nothing too memorable. It's not bad. It's not great, though. It's just another song on the album. I really didn't have much commentary on it. My only notes were, it's all right. The song Tell Me Straight is Keith's only solo vocal. Usually Keith's songs stand out as one of the best ones on the record, and I really love his solo stuff too. I don't think the song is as good as anything he did on his 2015 album Cross-Eyed Heart, which is really the last album that he did prior to this. It was a him and Steve Jordan album. Amazing album, by the way, but that's a side note. So this one's okay, but again, usually the Keith tracks stand out, and this one really sort of doesn't. I see that most of the commentary in a lot of these reviews is really left for the song Sweet Sounds of Heaven. And that has a lot to do with the fact that it features Lady Gaga on the track, and people have a lot of opinions about Lady Gaga. But what I have been noticing is a lot of people are going to do what I'm about to do, which is to qualify their opinion on the track by saying, I've never been a Lady Gaga fan. And that is absolutely true. I never have been. I'm not a hater or anything. I've just never really liked it all that much. I saw her do the Super Bowl halftime show a couple years ago, and it was a very impressive performance. I thought it was really, really cool, and I liked it. But that's about as far as I go with Lady Gaga. But this song is a great sort of 70s sounding classic rock song with Gaga doing the part of the female vocal along with Mick, and it is objectively awesome. Okay, it is really, really cool. She's great on it. The song is great. It caps off the album. It's not quite the closer. There's still one song afterwards, but it ends on a high note. And this is definitely going to be a song that, although I wish the Stones would just retire and not perform anymore, but I have a feeling they're going to do one final tour before they're unable to stand up. And this will be a highlight of the show. And I know Gaga won't be there. They'll have somebody else doing it, but it'll still be a highlight. Okay, and then the closer is a Muddy Waters cover, Rolling Stone Blues. It's good, just traditional blues song, just guitar, harmonica, and Mick and Keith. It's a good rootsy song. I don't know, it's cool. So, my favorite songs on the record, depending on you, Bite My Head Off, Dreamy Skies, and Live by the Sword, and those four make it worth getting. The other songs that I didn't like or I didn't name there, it's not that I hated them or anything, I just didn't think they were that great. So I guess my feeling is it is a good album. I mean, I fall into that category of expecting it to not be good, but I will say it's better than any Stones album that I've heard since Tattoo You. As a whole album. Okay? As a whole album. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.